So what is limiting beliefs
Yeah.
mean? So
They're lies.
they're lies that we tell ourselves. And so I send them to our team, I send them to myself, and I think it's probably the one silent killer that prevents all of us from hitting the potential that we're capable of. And there's no one in this room, none of us here who have hit 1/10 of our potential, right? And limiting beliefs are these kind of lies that we tell ourselves that we can't, that there's this artificial ceiling of what we're capable of, right? And like I said, none of us have hit 1/10 of what we're capable of, but we start to believe over time these limiting beliefs. Like we tell ourselves like, oh, okay, this is the fastest we can run. This is the best, best we can build. This is the, most weight I can lift. This is the most revenue we can sell. This is like, and we tell ourselves those lies. And I'm always trying to break us of those limiting beliefs, because guess what? Once you start to think about them, then you will play right into those, right? And you will probably go below the limiting belief, right? And you will not actually achieve your potential.
I think that is the most important part, which is you then play into what you say is going to happen.
Self-fulfilling.
So this is something we talk about. This is why we set crazy ass goals.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it turned into a joke, but it's actually dead serious when you say like 10x the goals, right? Like, and people tweeted us all the time, like 10x, up the goals, 10x the goals or whatever. And it's funny, but it's actually dead serious.
It's true.
Because
when you've seen it play out, right?
Every
when we
time.
do it, everyone's like, "Uh-oh, how are we going to do that? We can't do it."
I mean, we have
crazy.
this conversation every month, like from a sales and marketing perspective, right? Just to talk tactically about the business, like whatever number we forecast, we hit.
Yes, magically.
Always.
Even though we forecast, when we're forecasting, we're like, "This is impossible.
Right.
It cannot be hit."
But if someone in that
inhuman.
room says whatever the goal is,
we're
going to hit that goal.
And if they introduce a limiting belief, then I'm quick to jump on that limiting belief. And there's so many of these limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves. These are the lies that we each tell ourselves. And the hard thing is that they creep in. They happen no matter how hard you try, and no matter how aware you are of this kind of concept, they will creep in naturally. And so you have to fight these every day. And it never ends. The fighting never ends. I set limiting beliefs for myself every day.
So there's one specifically I want to dive into in a second, but so how do you, is it just reframe yourself to understand like this is a limiting belief? I don't have to agree with this.
I think the easiest way is to look at other people and what they're capable of. And that's why we talk so much about role models, because then it resets your context. Then you say, hey, they're human too. They're able to achieve 100x of what we're talking about, right? And one of the limiting beliefs that we've talked about is like, well, I don't have enough time. It's not possible. And, one that I always come back with is like, well, Elon Musk or whoever you want to use as an example, Kobe Bryant or choose a person or has as many hours in the day as us, but somehow they're able to do all of this stuff. And so how are they able to do that stuff? Maybe you can't achieve exactly what they've done, but you can probably achieve more than you think is possible if they're able to achieve these superhuman things.
Everything that you've talked about. It's role models. It's pattern matching.
Yep.
So I can't tell you how many times, like for people listening, I can't tell you how many times we've been caught on an email thread or some internal discussion, and you just like you're just like, hold on. We are not the first company or people in the world trying to do X.
Never.
And that could be something about hiring, something about managing, some goal internally, right? So that to me has been number one. Is like, oh yeah, you're right. So first, I'm going to drop what I'm doing, and like, who are the benchmarks? Who are the patterns? What else can we go
out
find?
there. Go outside yourself. Go outside your social circle. Go find the real benchmarks out there on how they're able to do it. So to recast what's you're possible of. I gave a talk recently. I gave a lot of talks recently. I don't remember where this talk was, but someone.
That's the most DC thing I've ever heard.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Don't know. Somewhere at some point, I did this talk recently,
good.
And they were asking me about background, and basically they were trying to ask me shortcut, like they didn't come out and directly ask me, but they were like, well, how do you achieve certain things, or how do you achieve, I think he was coming at it from a financial standpoint. And I said, look, the thing that I've discovered now and why I spend so much time talking about this stuff is like I'm trying to help people shortcut some stuff because I made all these mistakes. I am the king of pride and the king of limiting beliefs, and I've made all the mistakes, and so now I'm trying to help others correct that and save some years of their lives. I said, look, the way I think about like my own history is that I'm the Forrest Gump of this thing. right? Like, and if you don't know Forrest Gump, go Google that. Danielle DHD is in the room here. She's too young to know what Forrest Gump
She
is.
knows.
Yeah, she's young. She's like, what was
She's
Forrest
in
Gump?
film.
Yeah, she's in film, but she's young.
Okay.
And in Forrest Gump, if you know the movie, Forrest stumbles his way into all of these extraordinary opportunities and gets to meet all of these characters throughout history. And I said, my own progression is exactly Forrest Gump. I just stumbled my way through, right? And then all of a sudden I was around new role models, new situations, new opportunities. And then I played to the average of those people. And then after that, then I would stumble upon another group and then another group. And it just so happened each one of those groups were following a progression, and I've kind of stumbled my way that way. Why? Because I had these limiting beliefs, because I didn't have role models. I didn't have Google to go Google something. I didn't have YouTube to go look at Jim Rohn and his lessons, or whoever you want to take lessons from.
Jim Rohn, Grant Cardone, like stuff.
Yeah,
you're
Jeff Bezos,
now.
all that kind of stuff. I didn't have any of that stuff. It wasn't accessible, so I had to stumble my way through. But guess what? You're all lucky now. If you're listening to this, you have access to all of that. So you should not be the Forrest Gump of this. You should be able to shave 10 years at least.
Yeah. And that ties everything back to learning, right? That's why it's not that we talk so much about that, because it works, right? It's going to open your mind for what's possible.